Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, rules can be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates, especially on this channel, because I like to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play it as karmic themes. So the readings have a therapy style to them to help you heal, not just understand why the person does what they do, because who cares after a while, and when we can get caught up in why they do what they do, and when we do, we get stuck ruminating, and we can ruminate for hours and days on something, and that keeps us just in a low vibration. And over time, it really doesn't even matter, because people that have spiritual blockages are going to do things that don't logically make sense, which means if a person has feelings for you, but they don't believe that they're deserving of it, they're going to sabotage the connection. Does that make sense? If the person likes you, why would you be connected to someone that ignores you? Well, clearly it brings stuff up within you. And that's where your healing is. And when I say stuff, it's psychological and emotional stuff, how it makes you feel, why it makes you feel that way. And so once you heal the effects of that trauma that's been suppressed inside of you for so long, you actually see things from a whole other perceptions. You get to see yourself from a different perception, which is really the only way to heal. A lot of people say that they forgave. A lot of people say they let go. And a lot of people even say, oh, we forgave, we're friends now. But unless you've actually learned from that situation and you're no longer entering into the same karmic cycles, and the karmic cycle is just you keep re-entering into the same type of experience, one that makes me feel, and it could make you feel like a victim. It can make you feel not good enough, not worthy. Any, again, energy that keeps you stuck in a place of fear. Two energies, love and fear. Everything that the universe brings you is helping you to restore you back to your original energy of unconditional love. However, we tend to get stuck, and that's stuck where we continue to do the same things. So you are the alchemist of your life. You're the healer of your life. This channel will help you to, create the awareness, but inevitably it's all on you. You're healing. All right. Well, let's see what the underlying energy is. Don't forget to give the video a like if you resonate with it, obviously, and be interactive with the channel, because I love it when you guys are, even if I don't catch it until later. So the underlying energy is reactive. I'm going to pull from another one. I'm already getting stuff. And again, selfishness. So I feel like you're in separation from someone that's been trying to get a reaction from you, and by them not giving you anything. And the thing is, I feel like you're detached at this point and you don't even care. And it's actually creating a reaction within this person, like where they're going to it's making them want to do something. It's stirring up a lot of emotion inside of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like at one point it might have stirred a lot of emotion inside of you, but you got to the point where you I don't care. And it's because this person's selfish. And in order for you to to deal with it, as I said, you had to disassociate from it. And that's what this person can feel, and they don't like it. Now, remember, soul relationships are an energetic one. So the fact that you disassociated means that they can't really feel you anymore. And the irony is, this is this person's normal energy, to detach and disassociate from you, which comes across as very indifferent, right? Which is what they wanted in order for you to react. That's not happening. This person wants to react now. And what is triggering them is, again, their narcissistic traits. So let's see what happened. Let's see again, or let's see. I'm like, where they are now. What is it stirring up in them? We'll look at that first, and that'll also tell us what they're doing now, what they're thinking now, which is this person is watching you change and grow so much that they're trying to release their attachment to their identity so that they can change too. So what it is it's like this person is stalking you. So it's either they're watching you on social media, they're like just keeping tabs, and what they're seeing is you're not the same person anymore. That's why you disassociated. You had to put the time and energy into yourself. And what it's the and what it's activating inside of them is the fact that they wear a lot of masks, that, and the identity is again who this person wants people to perceive that they are. So they hold on to people and situations and experiences that are not really in alignment with who they truly are, but in order to create the illusion that they're somebody that they're not, pretty much. And what else? This person feels like they know in their heart that they feel like they get together again. Now, again, this is where things don't really make sense, where they feel like, if I'm meant to be with you, like we'll be together, and I still feel like we have that connection. Maybe you disconnected and I don't feel you anymore, but I feel like it's almost like it's ownership. And that's because it's like almost like this person is so cocky because they've been selfish for so long, not just with you. Yes, and also just that's who they are. So they usually get what they want, and they feel like you guys have had such a strong connection that maybe that you're mad, but they feel like, unless like they can possibly say the right thing to you, do the right thing for you in order for you to like win you over. And that's because of what you've given into in the past, not really because, that's what's really going to happen. And so this says, we incarnated together to clear specific patterns from our ancestral bloodline. So it's a karmic right there. It's like that the universe has brought you a person into your life that's going to, stir up a lot of, again, those triggers. And you are doing that to this person too, which that is all about, what we're taught when your parents were born, what was going on collectively, the ancestors, what did they deal with? Did they live in this country? Did they live in another country? Did they have to come over here? Did they have to live with poverty? Were they treated badly? Were they treated like a secondhand citizen because of their skin color, because of the dialect that they spoke? What did they go through? What was their perception? What are the habits and behaviorisms that you have inherited from that environment that you lived in? Because they're out of balance with the laws of the universe. Now, remember, everybody is born into collective karma, and everybody is born into family karma. And so the habits and the behaviorisms are what actually manifest the experience that we tend to perceive as negative. And so that's what Spirit's saying. It's like you're getting this person because you both inherited bad things from your ancestors that need to be cleared, that you're not going to be able to clear on your own. So you're like, but this person, if anything, brings up a lot of shit with inside of me. And Spirit says exactly. It's like to make you look and see what needs to be healed. So it's going to be a difficult relationship, but it doesn't mean that there's not love there and that there's not passion. We wouldn't stick around long enough to want to learn this, to be like, what is it making me crazy? Surrender is what Spirit says, because surrendering, again, love makes us surrender the ego. Surrender brings us together faster than resistance, obviously, where this person, I feel like, is, wants to be with you, but they resist it. where again you want to be with them but you also resist it. It's like, because that's what happens when you have feelings for a person but a person betrays you, you can't trust, right? So obviously it's the habits and the behaviorisms from this person where they don't want to surrender, so you're like, I'm not going to surrender to like this connection. We're going to both resist it, and that's a second chakra imbalance, by the way, where you're like, there's passion, there's a connection, but it's about control. Second chakra is not about control. Remember, we go with the flow of life through the passion for life. That's your emotional center. That's, where you get it's the passion, your passion for life. It's your individuality. Well, it's also your sexual center. So again, this person is a karmic. It's activating that particular center. So a lot of times people fall for the imitation, which is lust. Well, it's lust that you're my person, where spirit says, no, this is again your spiritual stuff that needs to be healed, because you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And the human experience is not a positive one when you're connected to someone like that. So the spirit's saying it's that you need to like, that like part of that is the, to see what needs to be healed within inside of you. So again, this person is in their own old patterns, but they don't see it, and that's the thing. It's like they think that they're not doing anything wrong. And so a person that refuses to look at what they do, and that's a part of healing. They want to let you in, they want to let their guard down, but their fear makes them lash out in self-defense. So this is self-sabotaging behavior. It's, I can't be vulnerable. That's the second chakra imbalance. And the vulnerability is all about trust. So how did this reading start? I have feelings for this person, but I don't trust them. It's like, and the thing is, so you've held back from this person and they're reactive. Like they held back from you, but I feel like they gave you so much time that you see this, and so that's really what it is. Like where this person feels separated or together, that they feel like they are triggering you. That's what, but they don't understand why you're not reacting to it. They feel the chemistry, and that chemistry is that passion that happens with the soulmate twin flame and the soulmate past karmic mate, because remember, it's activating that center, but the energy is not on a high vibration. This person confuses that energy like, well, you're of course going to come back to me. It's like, of course, because it's like we have this intense chemistry, but chemistry without trust is all about, passion and then nothing else, which is why you don't trust this person. So again, this person just says, I think you're beautiful inside and out. And they see like the soul that radiates inside of you. So again, I think that they're just like, I feel like you're my person. And I know that you're a good person. And that, I feel like they ask other people for their advice, where spirit is saying they need to learn to listen to their own self, to not listen to anybody else, because birds of a feather flock together. Who are they asking? What is, they have to, again, trust themselves. That second chakra is all about trusting ourselves. I can trust you and be vulnerable, because it's not about trusting you. It's about me trusting myself about what I feel about you, that I have discernment about who I'm dealing with. And that's the thing. This person doesn't trust themselves, so they can't trust you. And if it's so, that makes them not be able to be vulnerable, to not be able to go deep within a relationship, which makes them again want to go deep, to learn everything about you, to know about you. But then the moment that you ask questions, they're going to be defensive, and that's the issue. This person struggles with codependency, which again is a second chakra imbalance. People again that feel inadequate only when we don't know who we are. It's again only when we're not strong within ourselves. And that happens for a lot of different reasons. And so codependency is I need something outside of me to feel whole, to be. So if you get close to me, you're going to see my flaws. So I don't feel safe being vulnerable with you. Problem with that is, again, then the person is not going to go deep with a relationship. It's always going to be surface. And person that only goes surface, well, and it becomes only about passion, only about that lust, that connection, then what happens is that, you feel disposable. You feel like the person is only there for that. But that the person is afraid to let go of their old coping mechanisms. And that's the issue. It's how this person deals with stress. It's how they feel about themselves. And understand if a person doesn't feel good about themselves, everything is going to be a trigger, especially someone that they have feelings for, because they're going to be like, I don't want you to see everything that's here because I don't like a lot of things that are here. So it's actually easier to keep this connection in the etheric layer, which is like in that psychic realm. And it's like, okay, now you're living in fantasy land because it's like not that. You're not who they dream about. That's not a real person. That's a one-sided, because of course that person is only going to visualize you walking around naked and cooking for them and doing stuff that you wouldn't do. It's in their mind what they want it to be. And a person will be like that if they are not fulfilled within their own life. You don't need to be anything. And that's the thing. This person tends to react because their parents never gave them the love and the nurturing that they needed. So we know, again, that second chakra is the emotional center. If a person wasn't able to have their unique unfoldment process, and their unique unfoldment process is just finding themselves, like being a child, be like childlike. Children go out into the world, and depending on the type of connection they had with their parent is going to say what type of attachment style they have. So their parent wasn't there, they were an avoidant, so this person's codependent because of that. Now they could have been, the parentified, for all you know, someone that was the parent to a parent, or someone that acted more like the person's husband or wife than their actual, child. So it's not a blame game, but we have to understand, where did these behaviorisms come from? Because it's not going to make sense. But that's going to make the person feel very inadequate. You know what I mean? Very like that there's something wrong with me, and that there's something empty, like I'm not fulfilled, and that it's going to make the person not like who they are. Where Spirit's saying the next solstice is going to bring a big shift. And that's possibly because this person is still sitting on their duff, being like, questioning the connection and afraid of the connection, and just working through their process. That by, Christmas is, I believe, around the next equinox. And so this person is like on the slowest donkey known to mankind to come back, because they were on a low vibration. And that is a lot of fear. And that's about losing themselves. They've been so grounded all their life, it's hard for them to trust the spiritual elements of the connection, yet they can't deny that they exist. But the problem is again, they're conflicted about whether they have what it takes to actually be your partner. So this is a them issue. It's not a you issue, but it's going to make you feel like it's a you issue, which is why it's bad. It's like this person needs healing. It's like we shouldn't even be like thinking about, when my mommy and daddy couldn't be there for me. It's like, you're a grown up. It's like healing is an inside job. Most of our parents couldn't be there for one reason or another. Not every moment of the day. They're not Superman and Superwoman. They were people that were growing up the same time that we were growing up, dealing with what was going on collectively. What did they grow up in? Did they do things perfectly? No. But does anybody know? The whole point is that You get the story of who you think you are, then there's a real story of who you truly are, so that God can display its glory through you, through the fact of you becoming yourself. And that's a spiritual walk. It's an unfoldment walk of creating your identity, of finding your passions, and that will bring you to your tribe. Understand, there's codependency there. It's like, I feel inadequate. A person, of course, they would feel inadequate. If you're not finding those passions within inside of you, you've always been the giver, the caretaker. Those are survival mechanisms, or you were avoided so that you didn't have to. And there's always a fear. It's a second chakra imbalance, either overactive or underactive. Codependency is that. It's either the person wants to control and dominate because they don't trust, they don't like who they are, or it's, again, I don't like who I am, and my second chakra is underactive. I have low libido, I have a disconnect from the body. I have, all the energies that come from second chakra imbalance when it's underactive, but it's caused from the same type of environment. People dealt with two different ways to survive, is what spirit says. It's like, that's what it was. One's more intuitive, one's more up in the head, one's more spiritual, one's more creative, one's more intuitive. The other person's very grounded, very survival, has very Judas-like energy, opposite of spiritual energy, very like strategizing. And where spirit says, again, the way that they learned to survive, they had to. But, they're not going to heal, and they're definitely not your twin flame. What here is that this is a karmic mate, because they don't feel good about themselves. They haven't fed their own cup. Because of you, I'm starting to see what is really important in my life. And I'm not saying that it's you. What it is that you represent that through the way that you live, through what you do, through what it is, their perception of you, because they've watched you change and grow and become someone else. So, that's the thing. It's, again, in their imagination, but nevertheless, spirit says, as again, they're giving time and energy. The problem is the intimacy. The problem is the trust. Trust doesn't come from trusting, again, the other person. It comes from trusting ourselves. This person asks other people what they think, what they feel. So spirit says, they need healing. It's like they need a lot of healing. And, it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. Again, their heart is opening slowly. They're starting to see signs and synchronicities. They don't want you to give up on them. They feel like they don't deserve your love, and they're worried that you'll leave them when you really see who they are. So that's the issue that you're dealing with. So it goes back to that. Like, I want to let you in, but as soon as I let you in, you're not going to like what you see. And that's the problem. Spirit says, well, no one's supposed to be walking around not liking who they are. Because if you don't like who you are, you're going to create the illusion of what you want people to perceive that you are. It's a survival thing on a psychological and emotional level. That's why people have big egos. That's why people wear masks. That's why people tend to, like give more energy and more consideration to things, again, more than people. And that's what you see here. This person's afraid to let you in. Because if you see it, because I don't like this. So I create the illusions. You're going to see that once you see it's an illusion, you're going to leave. But you would leave because the person was not real, not because you didn't like them. It's because you're like, I don't know who this person is. It's like they wear a mask. And so they're never going to let you in that close because of that. It has nothing to do with you, but it's going to, again, awaken every single wound that you have. Because, again, this person just can't deal with the depth of the connection. Like the feeling of it. It's like the fact that it's a spiritual connection. It's like, yes, it's inspiring. It's great when you're in the spiritual connection because this person never had that before, but it's overwhelming for them. Because, again, it creates a lot of, I have passion, but I also have this great fear. So then you're going to see a very overactive first chakra. So where the person again is very like in survival mode, and it becomes very sexual, it becomes very dominant, it becomes very control. And then what happens is the person gets bored because, what keeps us connected to a person where we actually care is the emotional connection. And that's the thing. So that it's bringing up all these wounds within this person. It's making them not really feel good. They're not going to treat you well because they can't. And the thing is, it says that, you guys project your patterns onto each other, which makes it very difficult to see what's real and what is fear based thinking. So, the fact that this person is in their trauma, they won't let you get close. They do things to make you not trust them. And then you begin to like look for it. And then we see what we look for. So, is it always there? No, but there's major trust issues. So again, that second chakra and that first chakra work very close together. So both people get triggered with fear. And it's not about love because there is a spiritual connection and that spiritual connection, but you're both holding on to cognitive dissonances, which is I want it, but I don't, which makes the relationship like it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to feel like it's that, not that it should, because this person needs to heal who they are. And that's the thing, which Spirit says they're doing it because you're making them say, what is really important in my life? Like when they look around, they don't really have close friends. Again, they have the material, they have the money, but they don't have friends, not authentic ones, because when it's a selfish, one-sided relationship, no one's sticking around for that, over time, and so it makes the person feel inadequate. It makes them feel like, hey, I need to have these things to make you like me. But then once you get in there, you're like, well, there is stuff, and money. So what happens is that they might attract people that use them for money. So, like we're not that. It's because there's an illusion that I can't have love, which is a second chakra imbalance, where we are love. It's like it's not about getting love. When we are love, we attract the right type of love into our life. People that are more in alignment with who we are. Of course, we're going all different ways. So what you see here is that you're attached to a karmic past life, karmic mate. Give the video a like if you resonate with this video. Also, share your comments. Yeah, I'll answer all your comments at the end of the stream, which is going to be soon, because I'm going to be looking at next why you attracted this person into your life. Because what you see here is that this person wants to be with you, but they're not healed. So can you hold on to this? Yes, you can. Would you be happy doing it? No, you would not. Then and understand over time, this person would become more selfish and more cocky and more self-righteous, because those are all masks that come from the fact that this person feels inadequate. The fact that you're not doing anything is, again, what's creating that, why this person wants to actually do something. Problem is that it's not really making them want to do something like that's positive. What it's doing is it's making this person project all of their fear onto you. And that's because that's what happens when a person needs healing. They project. We draw into our life that. So yes, we can ask questions. I just want to do the most important part, which is why did you attract this person into your life, and what are you supposed to do to actually heal? Otherwise we tend to not be able to. Hey, I'm so glad you're here too. So again, first card out is neglect. Second card out is shame. Well, right there, it says it pretty much rage. Those are all very low vibrational energies, just right there. Sing. Oh, we like that one, kind of. Innocence. Discipline. So we're going to pull 6. So the reason why is because when you're not allowed to use your voice, and you're emotionally not getting anything, because neglect tells us that. And it's not just neglect, it's from psychological and emotional, to feel bad, to make you feel as if you were bad. And sometimes a parent would just make you feel that way because they're freaking angry all the time. They didn't heal their own wounds. Then they got married, and either their marriage didn't work out, or they're in a codependent connection, or they're just not happy. And so they took the anger out onto you. This is what ancestral karma is, by the way. And this is where the programs come from. It's like the way that our parents just dealt with their stress. It's not that they didn't love, but then that becomes familiar, that, you accept that type of behavior, and like you don't recognize that behavior because of what you had to deal with growing up. And or even if you recognize it, it's like you can deal with it, where we're not our shame. Shame is like one of the lowest energies. It again makes you feel like bad, defective, like there's something wrong with you, embarrassed type energy, right? Where it robs you of your innocence because you're not that. It's like we're supposed to be a little bit sheltered as children. We're supposed to be, but if your parent is so rageful and angry, they're spewing out this hatred because they're in this pain of their life. And so, it's where the fragmentation comes from. So obviously we're not really disciplining ourselves, all right? Like that's not what happens. Children then are going to look for, what can I do to emotionally soothe myself? What can I do to like, and so maybe again, the way that you soothe yourself was to learn how to smoke at a young age or hang out with a bad crowd. Remember, children are going to gravitate to, like energy that invites them in. That's just the way. And they're going to learn how to like emotionally soothe themselves, especially if the parent is not there to give you the love and the support. So the thing is, you're not creating yourself, you're busy surviving. Child then begins to survive because it becomes centered around, well, a lot is dependent on what that parent's going to do. That's really what it comes down to. And whether that parent's going to be okay. So like I said, children are going to get that survival one way or the other. But then what happens is that we haven't created enough of ourselves yet. And then that's what becomes the problem. So we have to say, what can you do to transmute that negative energy? And also like some inspiring cards to empower you. So Spirit says, understand that this is a karmic mate, because they're not ready to like do what they have to do. They're still fighting themselves. So Spirit says all experiences, good and bad, are what shape your soul's evolution. So this person came into your life to help you learn and to grow. Now it's about realizing that it's not going to happen. You might be like, it's not going to happen now. And Spirit says everything happens in divine time. And understand that my plan is better than yours. That the universe conspires to make a way where there is no way just for you. So you don't know what that way is going to be. And you don't know when the time is. It's a faith walk. It's your faith with God. And the only way that you can really have that is when you're, again, like feeding yourself on an emotional level, that is. And that's by becoming yourself, which I think that the journey is all about becoming yourself. So you can rise above and see beyond the immediate fears and actually see things from a different perception. It's a more elevated perception because you're seeing things through, the eyes of love, of why are we here? Like, what is the whole point of why we're here? Well, it's to help us learn that there's no separation. And there's no separation because from us and our creator, The illusion is that because we're in physical form, we don't see our creator. We don't see where really spirit says, well, that's because certain people ate from the tree of knowledge. And so now we're descendants of those people. And here we are in physical form learning, and we learn through pain and suffering, but we have spirit inside of us. So again, God's ubiquitous. It's everywhere all the time, and it's also within inside of us. So when we're a clear conduit, that means free of fear and anger and shame and all these lower energies, we can again we can utilize our spiritual sovereignty to be able to create anything in our life. And so that's to be able to, first, we would like have to do that by, releasing the limiting beliefs that no longer serve us. And that is by, again, also setting boundaries and using our voice to be able to do so. God created the world with its voice. You too can create the world with your voice, and to be able to see infinite possibilities. You learned from the experience, is what Spirit says. And though you have all the answers inside of you to be able to avoid the karmic consequence that keeps you bound to this lower energy, or you can again integrate it. And you can integrate it because, again, where it's like you want to have better opportunities, you want to believe that there is one, that this was just a stepping stone. But like I said, it's also a karmic test where you're being asked to step into a place of faith and realize that, yes, in the right time, everything's going to happen. But it's not now. It's after you reach your potential and you see your own worth. You're not there yet because of, again, what happened when you were growing up. Now it's time for you to give your energy that. And so, when we get into a relationship with somebody that's codependent, is because we're codependent. So you might have been the fixer, the healer, the sense of, well, I'm not 100% fulfilled in my life, or I'm not really seeing my life work to the maximum capability that I could really be satisfied and happy with. And Spirit says, unless you are living a reality that you're really happy with, you shouldn't really even try and date, because it would be normal to try to get those things from that person or have that dynamic fulfill you on some level, but it won't. And that's the issue, where Spirit says that you go into the unknown. You get to see a different version of yourself. You get to experience new things, and that's where transformation happens. And that's how you integrate all facets of yourself, and that's how you alchemize the negative energy. It's not that you didn't learn. You already learned, Spirit said, but you haven't transmuted the negative energy, which is actually embodied a whole other energy. And that happens from going into the unknown, and again, letting the universe bring you the people and situations and experiences that let you see that version of yourself, which is what you would never see. It's like, which is what this person would prevent you from doing. So yes, you learned, but Spirit's saying, but you're in physical form for a reason. So I need you to do the other part of that and realize that you always have to realize that you put the energy out there the best way that you know how, but you have to leave an open door for the highest potential outcome. And that's, again, the divine one. That a lot of times we think that things are going to unfold the way that we think, meaning I put energy and time and money into this. And what you realize is that's not what's going to bring you success. However, will it be the vehicle that the universe works through to bring you success? Many times. Again, or it'll bring you a person or a situation or experience. And the whole point is because we wouldn't volunteer to learn certain things, and we wouldn't be able to see ourselves through the lens that Spirit wants us to see ourselves as. And remember, if you were someone that was, shamed and made to feel like you were nothing and pushed down to the point that you're attracting this type of person. Well, Spirit says again, there is no separation between me and you. So believe me, I'm going to want to display my glory through you so you can see how powerful you are. It's like that's what healing is. To see that you can actually create whatever it is that you want, but it's a process. And it's one where again, to like where you can see what is really truly best for you, and for like really everyone involved. It wouldn't have been good for you to be in a relationship with this person. And when you listen to Spirit, that's what happens, is that Spirit says, pretty much my plan is better than yours. You're on a faith walk right now. Yes, that's why you were tested during this time, because hey, there's always a space between what you sow to what you reap. You're in that space. That's when people give up. That's when people lose the test. Again, because they're like, oh, it's not going to happen. I want to get my emotional fulfillment from outside of me, so I'll settle for less. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. And that's why, again, this person now has anxiety. And Spirit says, and they should, because they knew exactly what they were doing, and they still know. Anything forced will not have a good, happy consequence. This person wanted you to force it. They want you to convince. They want you to be the one. And Spirit says, if you got to do all that, you already know. No, that's a second chakra imbalance. It's like, I'm going to control you by giving you nothing so you can do all the work, and Spirit says that's a fail. And that person does not get to go past go and collect $200. They go into spiritual jail. You, however, get to go into the unknown and get to see a different version of yourself. It's again because you have to do that so that you actually recognize who's actually in spiritual alignment and who's not. We can't really see that unless we've done it for ourselves, is what Spirit's saying. Because what it is that you're so happy and fulfilled with your life, you can see needy, you can see codependent. This person wants me to do that. I know this person. It's like after a while, that's what it feels like. And then you'll also see the behaviorisms that get triggered from this person when you are in your full energy, and a person is codependent and they are not. They're going to be jealous. They're going to sabotage you. It's again because of the feeling of lack. So you don't need to go through that karmic experience, because that would keep you again in a place where that would make you feel bad. So we're going to push one more. And then I will answer questions. And this is where Spirit says a new opening. So again, like Spirit says, bye to this person. Says when one door closes, be confident that another will open. Because again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The universe always brings you what you need, as long as you're in alignment with taking care of yourself in the energy of love. That again, Spirit says everything's happening according to plan. We tend to judge the process. Spirit says don't judge the process. No, again, whatever comes next is going to be for your betterment. And again, accept that life brings you challenges, and acknowledge the opportunity and learning they present to you. And that serenity comes within. And that's what you learned, that you aren't going to let this person take your peace away. You aren't going to do any of that. So they didn't win anything. They didn't do anything, Spirit's saying. And that's why, again, we find you very attractive now, because remember, you've changed, and where you don't no longer give energy. So this person's not going to get the same version of you. They wouldn't, because you don't trust them. And that's their karma, Spirit says. They have to lose you to learn. Otherwise, they're not going to learn. And then again, the pain. And that's it. So yes, I'm going to answer questions. How do you truly forgive ourselves from being a product of our environment we grew up in, especially if it was neglectful? Well, it's again to become yourself. That's what this story was about. The story is about growing up in an environment where, you either were parentified, meaning you had to become the parent before you were a child, or you grew up in survival mode. You grew up, again, in this imbalanced environment, and we get the stories who we think that we are from growing up in collective karma and ancestral karma. So it's first to realize, again, that our parents were just people. They were just people. They were kids when they had us, mainly. Again, at 25, 30 years old, you're still kind of young. You don't know that as much as you would like to know. You're stronger than who you were, but by your 40s you get a little bit more smart, I feel like, where our parents were kids, and they grew up during wars, and they grew up during depressions, and they grew up. So it's to look at it first through, what did they go through? What 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 were they taught about spirituality? A lot of our parents did go to church, but they were not taught that, spirit lives inside of us, that we have the power to change our life. They were not encouraged that way. They were taught, well, you know what, you're going to hell. And the reason why is because you had that beer last Friday, that Sunday you were supposed to go to church. Yeah. And you know what you did? You lied. You didn't want to go. So you're going straight to hell. It was like this unrealistic expectation, or very strict dogmatic practices, and then how our parents translated those practices, where they're like, oh, every we pray 7 times a day. Some people are Muslim, and they're like, and you have to do it, and if you don't do it, and you better, I saw you didn't wash your hands. You didn't wash your hands. Person's like, I didn't have time to wash my hands. I'm just a human being, and I was just trying to, or I snuck a little snack. I was supposed to fast, for 8 hours. I'm going straight to hell for that. Because I snuck a Twix bar. I was starving. I thought I was going to pass out. I mean, we were human. And some of the dogmatic practices, like the expectation was just too high, like that we were never going to reach it. And we were never going to reach it because, again, the environment pretty much makes it impossible for us to reach it. And so the illusion of separation is birthed, which is, I don't have that power. I'm not strong. I'm not this. I'm not that, because that's the version of you that you keep seeing. So spirit will say, oh, and this person needs help. And so the universe says, on it. And it says, let me bring all these things, which what happens is, over time, because there's, again, no education, people get stuck in fear, and they tend to do the same thing. And then what happens is, then they try to control the narrative, which is what you saw in the story here, that the person tried to control the narrative. So it's about not controlling. So again, you have to surrender to what is, and see things through a spiritual perspective. And then I would say, create yourself, because God knows what you need to heal your mind and your heart. That if we're still seeing a version of ourselves that's not working, well, it's not easy to forgive. It's not easy to forgive, because it's like, well, the ego mind is going to say, well, the problem occurred somewhere, and I have to label it. So you're defective, and it came from them. That's how the ego sums it up. It doesn't say, well, back in 1923, they had one meal a day, and it was a Tic Tac, and they starved, and they were treated like crap, and they were beaten every day. It doesn't go into the reasoning of why. So we have no empathy towards what the person did. We don't make the person human. Again, there's an illusion that our parents are superhuman. When we're little kids, we depend on them. We see them that way. We want to see them that way, but that's not a realistic way. Is to realize, hey, they were kids too. They were growing up at the same time, and there was a lot of things that went on, and they were also taught, the belief systems were different. Hey, men don't cry, and women need to stay and cook and clean, and and you can't love, you got to be closet person. Yeah, that's right. If you're gonna have that type of relationship, or you're gonna do those things, you're gonna stay right in the closet. You're gonna you're not allowed. So there was a lot of suppression of self in order to fit into society's molds. So it created a lot of spiritual blockages. And those blockages create habits and behaviorisms that take us further and further and further and further and further away from self. And that is what makes us hate, because what happens is we don't like the results that it creates, because the universe only responds to what's true. If it's phony, spirit says, oh, is that the game that we're playing? We're going to do this. We're going to wear masks. Okay, I'm going to bring you this mask. Universe, bring them this mask. Someone that is poor but pretends to be rich. A person that, pretends they want to get married but doesn't really want to be married. It sees it as the same, where spirit says we can only be true to ourselves. And then the universe will match that energy, and you will have discernment from what's true and what's not. And you won't feel bad about it on an emotional level either, because you say, well, I'm deserving of that. It's like, I'm deserving of love. I'm deserving of. And when you live that truth, you get better results. And then what happens is you look at your parents and you say, wow, you guys made a wrong turn at Albuquerque. You really did. You did things really fucked up. It's like, but did they want to do it that way? No. Yeah, I want to be an alcoholic. That's what I want to be. And I want to get cancer too. And I want to have a miserable relationship, and I want my children not to like me. That's my dream. No one says that. Trust me. That's what people say. I don't like myself. I don't trust myself. I'm not deserving. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And so we have to look at things more from a spiritual perception. Otherwise, we can. I'm not going to forgive you. You know why? Because every day you told me I wasn't worthy. Every day you didn't show up for me. Every day I lived that fucking narrative to the thing that I have rage, and I believe that that's what I'm worth. Where spirit says, now that's a you problem. Because it's again where it was a them problem that became a you problem. Don't make it a child, the next generation's problem. It's got to stop here. And you're welcome 1,000 times over. It's about being able to know, but we weren't educated as a society. So our society is full of fear and says, well, that system doesn't work. I'm going to take matters into my own hand. And it's how they dealt with it. It's how and that they were just human beings. But trust me, I know our parents' love, and sometimes it's just buried under a lot of pain and resentment and addictions and habits and behaviorisms that, over time, that they don't make a person more present. They make them more detached and disassociated and, stuck in that narrative. I'm going to leave that there. So be true to you, love you. That's how you teach people how you want to be treated. That's what you have to do. And you weed out people that don't want to do it, because you only have so much time, energy, focus, and money. You're the magician of your life. So it's about using those currencies in ways that are going to build you up, that are going to bring you closer to the energy of unconditional love, to restore you back into your original energy, which is abundant. Don't forget to check out what's in my description box, speaking of abundance, because I have new abundance spirit bracelets. That's right, I can finally show you the jade ones. You guys get 35% off for Christmas. That's a big deal. So these are the jade ones. I said, all I want is prosperity and money and that. I didn't want anything else. Like they have, I've showed you guys how to open up your third eye. I have amethyst ones, and I have other ones like that represent, relationship and balancing all your chakras and all that. I said, I want specific. I said, I just want money. Just money, abundance, like that. And the reason why is because I feel like if you guys are in that energy where it's abundant, like then the relationships are not a problem. It's like you're happy, your cup is already full. So if you're attracting someone that's not good for you, you're not going to stay in that energy. You're going to be like, do I want to stay with you that makes me miserable, or am I going to be I'm at a high vibe? No, you're not going to settle for less than what you deserve. And so the energies for that are these stones, which are tiger's eye, pyrite. You see here, pyrite, citrine, lava stone, another sort of tiger's eye, and then jade. So these are the ones. Oh, and green aventurine. So these are all the prosperity bracelets, and you guys get 35% off. So if you guys need to buy Christmas presents, now is the time. Give the gift of healing. I also offer gift certificates, and I have books and other things. So check out what's in my description box. And if you have not signed up for my shadow healing coaching and you feel like you need that, again, then $7.99 is a great investment to make. If you catch two every other week, that's a lot. Like a lot of times people aren't consistent, but being that you can always watch them in the archive. Again, I start with at least 10 to 15-minute channel on a specific topic. Then we jump right into an oracle spread after I do a little Q&A, obviously. And then after the oracle spread, we do more Q&A. Then we do healing exercises. Then we do a healing modality to help you heal the effects of trauma, because unfortunately, living with a narcissist or living with someone angry, part of the reason why we also get angry and we can't forgive is because now we have these behaviorisms, and like being hypervigilant is a behaviorism that comes from living in an environment that didn't make you feel safe. And the problem with that is you don't want to be tapped into a person's every mood, because people manipulate through their emotions. If they can affect you, they're like, oh, well, that's how I'm going to get to you. So you don't want to be hyper vigilant, because it winds up conditioning your nervous system. And if you condition your nervous system so much, it becomes overactive. Then you have an overactive immune system, and it really triggers certain DNAs. And so again, we don't want to live in survival, where then we're going to have too much cortisol. So healing the effects of trauma is a big deal. We can't take it lightly, because remember, it's all about embodying that new consciousness to fully alchemize the negative energy. Otherwise, we can't do that. You're the healer of your life, and you need to love yourself enough to do it. And for $7.99, I mean, listen, like, how can you go wrong? Not to mention, after you see results, I have a huge healing community that I could refer, you to someone that can actually do, if you wanted to do more different types of healing, if you wanted to become a healer. A lot of times when we need deep healing, it brings us to our soul's path. That's what my coaching program helps to do, because a lot of times it's like, why even bother? And I know that sounds kind of negative, but the truth of the matter is, hey, people that need healing, we want to see someone like, what am I getting for it? Like, what's going to happen? It's like, I bet you get to see a different version of yourself. You get to experience different experiences that bring you joy and happiness, instead of ones that keep you stuck in a place of lack and limitation and fear. So it's a big deal. All right. Now I'm really going to go. I'll talk to you guys later. If you resonated with this video, give it a like. It's good karma, and it helps me grow the channel. All right. So long.